Okay, I'm not going to say all right. This is me beginning a podcast without the word all right. All right. So, hey, this is No Jumper. We're a podcast where we interview interesting, fascinating, important people. Some have called us the coolest podcast in the world. No comment. But today we have the one and only Andreas, a.k.a. Golgo. So let's point this right at your mouth.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, so you are an artist from Mexico City.
Yep.
Let's
Mexico
start there.
City. Okay.
Let's start with Mexico City. Tell me about the area where you grew up.
The area. Okay, I grew up in this neighborhood named Colonia del Valle.
Okay.
Which is kind of like the Soho in Mexico City.
So it's the nicer area?
It's nice, but it's not like the wealthiest area.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say it's more like the arts area, like arts district type of neighborhood.
Okay.
It's pretty cool, pretty chill.
Okay. And so tell me about yourself as a child. Were you what kind of family were you born into, and did you recognize the artistic tendency in yourself early on?
So this is how it happened. I was born in Spain, born in Madrid.
Okay.
So then we moved, my brother, my mom, and I, we moved probably when I was around 7, 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Then, like, getting raised in Mexico, like, it was, like, all arts and, like, you know, looking at amazing architecture, having an amazing family which was raised, like, around arts and all that. You know, like, I think that's what took me there.
So your parents were involved in the arts from an early age?
Actually, my grandma and my grandaunt, they were like super involved, as well as my great grandparents and all that shit.
Right.
Like they were super involved.
Okay.
Not directly like into fine arts, but like surrounded by artists and all that. Like my grandma and my grandaunt, when they were probably around 5, 7 years old, Frida Kahlo used to take care of them. Like
Who's that?
Frida Kahlo, famous painter from Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Massive name.
Right. And so, when you say that they were artists, what kind of art were they into? And do you remember the sort of art that you were exposed to as a kid? Do you have any early memories of that?
Like as I was saying about them, like they were not like artists as well. They were just like regular persons. They had like their own businesses and all that. But like my education was like deeply and strictly into arts, like
Right.
painting, sculpting, music.
And was that because your parents recognized this tendency in you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, same with my brother. My brother went into like this like musical route, and in my case it was just like painting and drawing and all that.
So from your first early memories when you were a kid, you can remember that you just sort of gravitated towards a pen or a paintbrush?
Yeah. Actually, I started drawing like, I don't know, I don't even remember. Like that's one of the first things I learned how to do.
Do you remember when you realized that you were good at it or that you had talent with it?
I think I figured that out when I stopped going to school.
When did you stop going to school?
Like, I only did junior high, and that's it. And then I was just doing art on the streets, and that's it.
Right. Okay.
Skateboarding, you know.
How did you perceive graffiti as a kid? Like, was it considered like this huge? Like in America, the graffiti is kind of interesting because it's like you can really go to jail for it.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming at that time in Mexico City, it probably had a different perspective.
Actually, it was the same exact thing, and it's still the same exact thing. You know, like, you know, it's an illegal form of expression and all that, which is, I don't know, it's of course like relieving and refreshing,
right,
to the eyes and like to the spirit at the same time. But the thing is, yeah, I was raised around graffiti, and that's my first schooling, like, you know, writing on the streets and all that. But like one day I was like, you know what, like, yeah, like it's nice to be writing on the streets and all that, but I want more.
Right.
So that's when I started like doing imagery, with pasting, stickers, all that.
Was there ever a time period where you got strictly into like traditional graffiti, just doing letters and doing pieces and that kind of stuff? Was that ever your thing?
It was my thing probably like for 2 years, probably.
When you were real young?
Yeah, probably this is like 95.
Right.
More or less.
And so wait. So how old are you right now?
I'm 33.
Okay. So do you remember the first time that you like did graffiti in public? That you actually like went through the process in your head of vandalizing something?
Yeah, probably I was around probably between 12 and 14, probably. don't remember.
Right.
But more or less.
And
I was skating already.
okay, so that was kind of your vehicle for just being out in the streets and everything. Would you be more likely to do graffiti like in a nicer area in Mexico City, or were you guys going into the ghettos and finding low key areas?
Actually, it was like wherever you were able to do it, you know?
Right.
Like any spot that was like appealing to you, like fuck it, let's do it.
What was your weapon of choice early on? You have spray cans, you have
Spray
markers,
cans and brushes, and steel. Like when I'm doing like murals and all that, it's spray cans and brushes.
right?
Yeah.
So what about skateboarding? Was that like something you were passionate about early on, or was it just sort of a way to get around?
You know, it was a passion for a minute, and you know, as any other kid, I was growing up, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna be a pro and all that shit. You know.
Did you ever show any that kind of talent in terms of being able to? No.
I have my tricks. I cruise and all that shit, but suddenly I got my first opportunity to design a skateboard for Neighborhood Skateboards, which was owned by Julio de la Cruz. He owned also Stamina. This is the 90s.
Okay.
So I made my first pro model for this rider, and that day I was like, fuck it, it doesn't make sense anymore to me, like to be a pro or to dream about that.
Right.
I want to keep doing product, you know?
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, fuck it, let's do fucking product and create. And then I jumped into fashion, and I've been jumping into product creation, like tons of things, like from wheels, like skateboarding-wise, like boards, wheels, trucks, any single accessory, apparel, everything.
Okay, but let's go back to the transition, sort of out of being a graffiti kid, just starting to move past that. Like, what was your, what did you start to dip your toes into? Was it just doing fine art at first?
This is what happened. That I truly got bored of graffiti. It's
what part of graffiti were you bored with?
That you know that there's this massive like ego fight.
Yeah.
Everyone's it's the biggest pissing contest.
And everybody who's even slightly successful is just shit on by them more than anything else, probably.
Yeah, I love it. Don't get me wrong, and I love everyone's art, and I madly respect it. But that's what took me out from that. That it's very selfish.
Right.
And to me, like. Yeah, of course you do your craft or your art for yourself, but it's more about like sharing, you know?
Right.
And of course it's not that what you do it's gonna be liked by everyone. It can be hated as well.
Right.
And that's what I'm aiming for. That's to me, at least that's the dialogue I started like to create since very young, and that's what I do now. Like that's my dialogue. I try to transgress and to fucking like create a thought or a feeling or emotion into the viewer.
Right.
You know?
So you finish sort of your like graffiti career and you start to move in different directions. What were those directions specifically? Like, how did your lifestyle change? And did you start being in the house a lot more, working on stuff? Or
actually, this is what happened. I stopped doing graffiti like straight up because I met this guy who started working at this major design house, and he loved what I did, and he invited me like, come. We can hire you.
Right, okay.
So that took me like from the streets to a studio, and that's when I started my design career actually, like doing characters, doing advertising, all that shit. And then from there, I got bored again, and I started doing fine art, like deep, like what I learned when I was like super young, like painting, canvas, like watercolors, oils, all that. I started applying myself and learning.
So when you first got the job at this design house, what kind of work were you doing? And was that a very different thing? Because obviously in graffiti, you're just following your heart, doing whatever pops into your head. All of a sudden, you're working at a design house, having to take on assignments and stuff, I would assume?
Yeah, actually, I can relate that a lot to graffiti. You know, it was the 90s, and that was the imagery that everyone wanted, like all the big letters.
Okay. So that's why they wanted you, is because graffiti was so big. Okay.
Exactly. And then in this job, the transition was like, okay, first I didn't know how to work on a computer. And
right, I was going to ask about the digital side of things too. I
learned like like how it goes on every job. Like they give you like 3 months and all that, and in a month I learned because I got passionate about it.
Right.
So then the thing is, I learned, kept going, and then this transition into the employee to the art director of the company. So I was just throwing ideas to the air and let's do this, let's do that, blah blah blah, and I was generating content.
Right.
So that took me to this next venture, like being the art director. This is when I was 18.
Right.
Of one of the big
art director still of the same studio, or did you move on?
Same studio. And then I was telling you, I got bored, and then I moved on. started fine art like straight up.
But so you quit your normal job to start doing fine art. But
Yep.
did you see the fine art thing as being potentially profitable?
No, the thing is that I didn't care about the money.
Right.
I was just wanting like, let's fucking do it.
Right.
I don't want to like be stuck doing the same exact thing, which is great. I was getting paid amazingly, and I was the art director, you know.
Right.
But like, you know, it's money is important, but it's not everything. And my thing is like keep going. I need to keep my progression flowing, you know.
Are you the kind of person
with my
that,
art,
that
yeah.
you just get unhappy if you feel like you're not following or
Actually,
progressing in your art and
actually,
stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I think a lot of people,
Yeah.
that's the type of person that ends up being like a prominent artist and everything. So you get more into fine art and stuff. How do you monetize that? Do you try to sell your works? Do you start trying to like, you know, I'm not sure how that path goes.
It's hard. It's hard as fuck, you know.
To make money in that space, right?
Yeah. And if you try to manage yourself, it's not impossible, but it's actually really hard, you know, because first you are doing the art, then you need like to market yourself and then sell yourself. It's 3 different jobs, you know, 3 different persons doing this, you know. So it's hard. And then Mexico, even though Mexico is big on art and all that,
right?
It's hard.
It's harder financially because there's probably not as many prospective buyers and that kind of thing.
And of course, if you don't have the plugs and if there's no galleries behind you and all that, like it's almost impossible, you know.
Yeah.
And in those days, it was hard.
And at the time in Mexico, like, what was the reaction to the sort of street art based stuff that you were doing at the time and everything? Like, did you feel like your style was in vogue, that people wanted to buy this kind of stuff or wanted to be involved with it?
No, in the beginning, no one understood it. It was just weird and new, and the land was virgin for everything. You know, it was just different. You know.
Yeah.
Like, I remember doing like during the day like with pasting like massive things.
Right.
And not even the police. Police thought, oh, he's putting propaganda for whatever brand or like, you know,
right.
whatever. No one understood it until it started like becoming like a common thing and more aggressive and more people started like doing it, you know.
Did you feel like did you have a lot of run-ins with the police early on in terms of doing graffiti, or did they not really understand?
Graffiti never,
really?
Thank God. But doing like with pasting and all that, yeah, like a few. Like,
really? And you ever get caught, like arrested or anything?
Nah,
no.
I just ran.
Yeah. Are cops in Mexico, what is their attitude towards graffiti? Is it pretty serious if you get caught?
It's pretty serious. Actually, I think it's like here in the U.S., but the beauty over there is that you can pay them, you know?
Right, you can, yeah.
It's easy. It's easy. And of course, like, the currency, let's say, you can get out of, like one of these deals, like, for about, like, I don't know, probably $5.
$5?
Yeah, which is, like, 50 pesos.
Yeah.
50 pesos, so...
That sounds pretty good in terms of,
right.
you know, if you want to be a graffiti artist, Mexico sounds like an all right place. If you could spend $5 as you get a jail-free card.
And then, of course, if you are smart enough, you can buy fake bills and pay them with fake bills.
Even
like,
better. You
yeah.
save the $5. Wow, this is quite a racket you got going on here. so you start doing this like fine art stuff, and then like what was your next major transition after that, or what were you doing to make money during that time?
I was just spending the money I saved. I was not making money. I was just producing and practicing and getting better and all that. So
right.
Suddenly I got this chance, this opportunity of my first solo show, let's say.
Okay.
Super small venue.
And at this point, you never traveled outside of Mexico as well, right?
No.
Okay.
I'm stuck there. You know, like my economy is like going down. My savings, I'm killing them, and it's like, okay, whatever. I'm just doing my thing, and time will happen. I was not even thinking of traveling. That's
right. Yeah, that was too ambitious.
The thing is, I got my first solo show, and suddenly, like when this was happening, it became the biggest party in the city. I don't know how. Like, of course, it was like an art show, and it was, as I said, like a small venue and all that, and music, free drinks, blah, 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 blah. And suddenly it was like full house. Everyone was there. Amazing night, whatever. And that night, that's when everything changed for me.
Really?
Yeah, because this guy comes to me, and he's like, dude, I work for Nike Mexico, and all these guys are...
And what year is this?
This is like 2000.
Okay.
2001 probably.
So you survived Y2K.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, we all
Of
did.
course. Of course.
Barely.
But being a hacker, you know.
Yeah.
Anyways, this guy approaches me. I work for Nike Mexico. These guys that are with me, they are the international design team. I'm like, okay, and they want to buy your show. And I'm like, how? Why?
Buy your show?
Yeah. I'm like, how? Like all the pieces. I'm like, what? Really? So I'm like, yeah, like when the show is done, not tonight, like in a week and a half, I don't remember for how long they were hosting my pieces. No, they are leaving tomorrow. I'm like, fuck. So I talked to the guy from the venue, you know what, I'm sold out.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, really? And I'm like, yeah, I'll cut you out, like, as it works. And yeah, they waited like till the end of the night. They took the pieces, they left the next day. So this, of course, I made money, like not that much. I didn't know how.
What, because you weren't pricing the
Yeah,
did you know how to price art at the time? No?
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I made like, let's say I think I made like 12 pieces. I made, let's say, in dollars probably like $1,500.
Okay.
Which was, it's nothing.
And what
you know?
was Nike going to do with all this artwork?
This is how the story goes.
Oh,
so
okay.
3 months after, I get a crazy ass email, Nike work opportunity. And I'm like, okay. So I reply like this at night. Pa, pa, pa. Yeah, I'm interested. They reply like this, can we call you? And I'm like, yeah, for sure. Send my phone number, my house number. They call me, and they're calling me from Nike Hong Kong.
Uh-huh.
So this is Nike Hong Kong's fucking brand director. And she's like, you know what, like, people of my team bought some of your pieces who want to work with you. So you in? I'm like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So they're like, we're going to send you a brief. They sent me this brief. It was this project, which Mr. Cartoon was there, Michael Law, Eric So, who else was there? Debbie Locke, and I don't remember who else. And it was just making T-shirts, graphics. This is the first time I charged like a ton for a graphic, just one.
Really?
A lot of money.
And so who told you to do that? How did you know that you could charge so much more?
No, the thing is that this person, the director, Karen Seitz, her name. She was like, you know, this is the fee. You are able to negotiate. And I'm like, okay, can we do a little bit more? And they were like, okay.
Yeah.
Fuck.
That's the good thing about dealing with a
Yeah.
big company is that
Yeah.
it's not as hard to push them out.
And
yeah.
then that was released. That happened. And then after that, like, let's say I waited probably like 8 months, and I got invited to do my first sneaker collection, the Lucha Libre gift pack.
Through Nike?
Yeah.
Okay.
5 sneakers, 4 were released, 1 got canceled because it was a lot.
Uh-huh.
Only, they were sold here in the U.S., but mainly Japan and Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
And so at this point, what is your opinion of your career? Like, did you consider yourself to have just hit the fucking lottery? Like, was this more than you had ever expected to get from art?
No, the reality, like, I'm still just a single human being, and like, of course, I'm grateful of all the stuff that I've been doing and all that, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, whatever.
But it must have been a real thrill as an artist to get that opportunity. And did you feel like that kind of like skyrocketed you past a lot of your peers in that regard?
It did. Like that took my career into a higher level, like mainly Asia, and
Right.
of course Mexico. But in Mexico it took a while because, as I said, it was starting, like the sneaker culture, the street art culture, all that was starting. So when my first shoe collection was released, it took like Mexican people like to digest that probably like a year after, like everyone was like, oh, a Mexican design shoes, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
They knew. Even they were released like at these few boutiques we had, like sneaker shops and all that.
Once they realized, though, was there a little bit of like tribal loyalty there in terms of people in Mexico being proud of you, having one of their own who's doing things?
Yeah, that happened, and it's still going. Like on Instagram, I'm always receiving that, like, oh, I'm wearing these shoes, I'm wearing that, blah blah blah, and it's really, it feels really.
So you hear from a lot of young kids who are like artists or graphic designers in Mexico who are like inspired by it. Okay.
Yeah, that's weird. I never expected like triggering that throughout my work and all that.
Right.
And also the mask thing, it's something that has been like...
Yeah, tell me about the mask thing. Did you always have that going early on?
Yeah, always. Probably since I was 7, I'm tripping with the mask thing.
And so what? You were just a big fan of wrestling. Let's talk about that. What is it about the Mexican wrestling that appeals to you so much?
Because it's real.
It's real.
It's real. They bleed.
Yeah.
It's fucking real.
And even when you were watching it when you were super young, it was like that?
Yeah. and it was even more hardcore. Now it's a business. It's a show.
Right.
You know, and of course, like Mexico is trying to mimic the WWF and WWE.
Right, and they want to make it more slick formula,
yeah,
right?
More like a novella.
Yeah.
With fights and shit.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it was aggressive.
It was just fighting back in the day, right?
Yeah, and actually, like in the late 80s, they were not able to show it on TV because it was like
Really?
blood and shit and all that. It was crazy.
So what was an early like experience, like one of your early wrestling matches that you would have gone to? Like, what would have been you and your dad going to this sort of thing?
Actually, me and my grandpa.
Okay.
And my brother, of course. There was this like massive venue in Mexico City.
Yeah, I was going to ask what kind of venue would house this at that time.
The Bull Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the biggest venue for wrestling. Late 80s. It started in the 70s, but in my time it was late 80s and let's say the beginning of the 90s. And I remember going with my brother and my grandpa, and like then, cause we were like like up and all that. I remember jumping the fence with my brother in order to get close to ringside, just to be close to the wrestlers and get like blood splatter, all that shit,
Right.
Like, oh my God, this guy's sweaty as fuck.
Did it occur to you at the time that there was any sort of fakeness in this, that they weren't actually beating each other to death?
No, dude, I'm telling you, it's real.
Wait, so is Mexican wrestling completely different than what I'm expecting here?
Yeah, dude, it's real. Like nowadays, it's the same as what you can see on the American wrestling. But back in the day, it was hardcore.
They were really beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Damn. See,
Yeah,
I cried. When I was a little kid, I cried because my mom told me that Hulk Hogan, like, there was an episode where someone burned his face in a back room.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right.
I don't remember if it was Undertaker.
I know. You know who it was? It was that one dude who was supposed to be like Saddam Hussein. He was like a Middle Eastern.
Iron Sheik.
No, but it wasn't. It was another guy. There was another. Fuck. This is gonna piss me off that I can't remember. But because Hulk Hogan was also doing promo for a movie at the time, and he got his face burned. And I asked my mom, like, how can he be on this interview when he just had his face burnt and got third-degree burns on his face supposedly in wrestling? And she said, Adam, it's fake. And I cried my eyes out. I was so upset at the idea that this could be fake. Like. So I guess that you might have got lucky in a way that you didn't have to have it broken to you at the time.
No, actually, that's the difference. Like, how can I say it? Like, a lot of these wrestlers, they were movie stars as well. And as I was saying, like Mexico, amazing country and all that. To a certain degree, like there's a lot of ignorance due to education and of course economics and all that.
Right.
So there's these three major wrestlers: El Santo, Blue Demon, and Mil Máscaras.
Okay.
Movie stars, amazing wrestlers. So the first one dies, which is Santo, the one with the most movies. In these movies, all these are called movies now, like B movies. Like he had fights against like the sex and the women and the vampire women, like Dracula, Frankenstein, aliens, anything that you can imagine.
Right.
He was fighting.
Okay.
Just to keep Mexico safe.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, when he died, were like, "Oh my God, our superhero died! Like, fuck, what are we gonna do?" People thought that the movies were real.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. You can YouTube like his funeral and shit. Dude, it was like massive.
And
massive.
were you always super into? Did all these wrestlers wear the masks, such as the one you're wearing now?
A lot, yeah.
Most of them, yeah. And what was that? Just to hide their identity, or was it just part of the?
It's a superhero thing.
Yeah, yeah.
While you were like believing in Batman, I was believing in Mil Máscaras.
Right, yeah.
And the difference is like, oh, I can go to the wrestling match and Mil Máscaras is gonna be there, and probably he's gonna sign, like, I don't know, a photo for me, or I can buy a mask.
At least give you a handshake or whatever.
Yeah.
So you would buy a lot of the masks as a kid?
Actually, not that many due to economics, but then, like...
What, were they
growing
expensive?
Up, yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You can buy, like, the cheap ones outside, like, the wrestling arena, which are, like, cheap. But you want the real one.
Right.
You want the one worn by the wrestler with his sweat and blood and tears.
And did you start incorporating them into your art right away?
Not right away. Like, it took me a while, like, to figure that out.
But by the time you started working for Nike and doing that kind of stuff, were you already sort of known as messing with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was already wearing the mask and all that shit. And in between the shoes and this first collaboration, I had my first international show in Hong Kong.
Oh, okay. And was that's your first time leaving the country?
Not exactly. I traveled like as a kid, like with my parents and my grandpas and blah blah blah.
Right.
But like work-wise, yeah.
Okay.
So first show in Hong Kong, and I was thinking. Actually, I remember talking to my brother. I was like, "Fuck, should I wear a fucking mask and fucking create like chaos over there to see what's their fucking."
Yeah.
I don't know, like, I don't know, it was just weird. I went, I did the mask. I actually, like, wore charro pants and did, like, my own thing, and everyone was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It was just weird.
All these Japanese
since
people,
then I was like, fuck it.
they're not used to seeing that kind of thing,
Yeah.
huh?
And of course I was wearing, like a famous wrestler mask and all that until I started designing my own masks.
Right. What about you? What age would you have been, and were you totally fucking freaked out by Mexico? Or, excuse me, by Hong Kong?
I was like 20, something like that, 21.
And did it totally blow your mind how
Yeah.
different this place was?
Yeah.
Because I can't think of any more different cultures probably than like deep into Mexico and then Japan.
Japan is one of the biggest ones.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like Hong Kong, of course, and the sneakers, the Lucha Libre sneakers, like triggered me to Japan, and that's when everything started like going big and fast and fast and fast. And then the wrestling thing, because Mexican wrestling is huge over there.
Right.
Huge. And like one of these famous wrestlers I was mentioning, one of them is like considered like God over there.
Right.
Mil Mascaras.
Uh-huh.
He opened like the Mexican culture and the exchange over there and all that. So the funny thing is that at that time, because I'm immersed into the wrestling thing, I started working with Mil Mascaras, which is my favorite wrestler and my idol and my
Working for him in what capacity?
designing his masks.
Oh, wow, okay.
So Mil Mascaras means the man of 1,000 masks.
Right.
So I started.
So he
designing
needed a new one all the time?
all the time, because every time he appears, he comes out with a different one, and then he throws it like to the people like for free, like.
Right.
And it's fights and it's fucking crazy.
So how did you get the... what name came first? Was it the Ex Ghetto 666?
That was my graffiti name.
Oh, that was actually your piecing name.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't even know the meaning of that name.
To me, it looked
just-
more like a AOL name. Like that might have been your
Yeah,
first screen
Somebody's
name.
on
Yeah.
No, of course, MySpace and all that shit. Of course, it was like that, I guess. And you know, it's the graffiti thing. Everyone was writing like, "Oh, I'm whoever won."
Yeah.
Whoever won. I'm like, "Fuck, why one? I'm gonna be 666." Fuck it."
Everybody had the one.
Yeah.
I think I did too when I was a little
Yeah,
graffiti
I
rat when I was like
definitely
15. Yeah.
Yeah, and then with the years, I was reading and I'm reading about this amazing artist Futura, and I'm like, Futura 2000. So I'm not that fucking crazy. If he's doing a crazy ass name, so why not? You
Right.
know?
So he was a hero of yours as an artist. Even when you were young?
Yeah, that not that young. Like I heard about Futura probably late 90s throughout this magazine Giant Robot from New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this before Juxtapose magazine. And I was like, fuck, and I was loving what he was doing. And then like I related, like I figured out that he was friends with Keith Haring, which is an all-time favorite artist of mine. And then Basquiat and all that like pre-graffiti era.
Right.
New York and all that shit.
So were you dreaming about going to New York or LA at the time when you were living in Mexico City? Was it?
No, I was just like doing my thing. This is what I was telling you. Like,
But that's where all your heroes were, all the artists you were looking up to, right?
yeah, but I never expected like, I'm gonna meet them. I'm gonna travel.
It didn't even seem like a possibility.
No, I never thought about it. I was just doing my thing. And you know, like when you are that age, you are like scattered brain. I don't know. what
And
the
especially
fuck
being
I'm
in
doing.
Mexico City, you probably just don't think you have like the opportunity to do that. Probably
No,
seems
and
so
I was just
remote.
looking at things like on magazines, on movies, on TV shows, and that's it. You know,
Right.
nothing else.
So-
I was just like empty.
Right. So, what's like the next step after that? After you started doing masks for your hero and you went to Japan and everything.
Okay, so Japan, because besides the Nike thing, I'm working for the biggest wrestler in Japan. Everyone's like, holy shit, who the fuck is this guy? Why he's wearing a mask? And that got me a lot of attention. And all this attention, I started working with Medicom Toy, produce some toys with them, like Kubricks and shit. I started meeting more people. I started like working with brands. There are tons of like fashion brands that are like inspired by wrestling and all that. So I started having collaborations with everyone. Then I meet the creator of this super famous manga, Kinnikuman, which is about wrestling.
Right.
And I met the creator, which this comic is from the 70s. I met the creator and he's wearing my sneakers. And I'm like, whoa. So, because I'm at this like party venue, whatever.
Right.
And they introduced me to them and to him. And he's like, dude, like he tells me, I love your work. I'm like, I love your characters. I love Kinnikuman. I love wrestling. Like,
Yeah.
master, right? And next thing, we have a collaboration. Next thing, I become a character in his manga. Just
Really?
for one number, yeah. But that was epic.
Right.
You know? Like that's a childhood dream.
You still have the copies of it and stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That must have been insane.
It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And his characters have like this like mohawk thing on the mask. So he drew like my mask and with the mohawk. So that's fucking crazy. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, so that adds to that, like appearing in one of the biggest mangas in Japan, from one of the cult classics from Japanese manga and all that. Then the Nike thing, the wrestling thing, and everything gets together, and I start having shows in Japan, having collaborations, and doing all these things in Japan, and going like back and forth to Japan all the time.
So at this point, do you feel like you've really made it? Like you're really successful in this regard?
Yeah, you know.
Because this is probably way more than you ever could have expected to get out of your career, right?
And to be sincere, I went crazy. Like I didn't even know how to handle like money, how to handle fame, and how my life was like skyrocketing. Like,
so what did you do? Did you start partying like crazy?
Of course, like party, drugs, like girls, like doing crazy things and all that shit. And of course, like I lose my mind, and until I fell, because I got this lawsuit, like major lawsuit.
A lawsuit based on what?
Actually, Mil Mascaras got me to this like $1.5 million lawsuit.
Wait, the Mass?
The wrestler I was working with.
Wait, was he? So somebody sued him?
No, he sued me.
He sued you. Why?
Because in this sneaker collection, which I talked to him and he agreed, oh yeah, no worries, you can use my image, blah, blah, blah. He even made me this letter.
And then you put it on a pair of Nikes?
Yeah, but actually not his character. A character inspired by him.
Right.
So 4 years after this release and all that, I get a phone call from Nike, like, dude, this is happening, like, lawsuit from this guy, and he's suing us and suing you for $1.5 million. I'm like, fuck.
And this guy was supposed to be your friend. Did you ever have a falling out with him? You were supposed to be friends with him, right?
I was friends with him.
Yeah.
So my first and only time at court, he denied knowing me.
Really?
Yeah. And the funny part was, like, with the lawyers and all that, my lawyers pulled the photos, like me with him without the mask, him, of course, and all that shit. Like,
it's a weird thing to lie about in court. Obviously, you got photos together and stuff, right?
Yeah. That's the reason why, like, it didn't happen.
And so it got pretty much dismissed?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah, but that's what, like put me on my place in order, like, to, you know what, you're fucking up, like, make things right and keep working and don't go that fucking crazy. And that took 2 years of my life. Like, back and forth signing documents, this, that, the other.
And was it just constant stress over this?
Yeah.
But were you ever really scared that you were going to have to come out of pocket, or was it supposed to be Nike?
No, I was scared of going to jail.
Really?
Because that was the first thing I received on a phone call. This is happening, and probably you're going to go to jail. I'm like, what?
What?
For what?
And so you talked to your lawyer, and they were concerned as well?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
You don't go to jail for copyright infringement in America, do you? No, not really.
This was a weak-ass elaborated case by the wrestler, you know?
Right.
It was super weak,
And,
cheap.
and he was probably just in his old age, running out of money.
He's mad old, and he's still wrestling. He's 77, and he still wrestles.
Wow.
He still flies from the third fucking...
Money will make people do some crazy shit, huh?
It's Mexico.
Yeah. It's tough out there, huh?
Yeah, it's fucked up. That's how it goes.
So what about after that? Like, what's the next step in your career?
So
I keep waiting for you to get involved in, like, clothing and fashion and stuff at a certain point here, right?
yeah, so I'm already doing like fashion and working like not only Japan, like besides Nike, like grabbing small brands and all that shit. At this time, I already met like artists from around the world. I met Futura, made a friendship with him, same with Stash, Ross, Sir, Costas, all those cats. But made an amazing friendship with Futura, with Stash, and Sir. Those were like my people.
Mm-hmm.
Then I lose this time, 2 years of my career, but in these 2 years I keep perfecting my craft and my thing and all that. And I can't do my thing. I can't do anything related to wrestling. So that's
you couldn't do anything during the lawsuit.
No, related to wrestling.
That must have held you back like crazy, though,
yeah,
huh?
I was like, fuck. So what the fuck should I do? So that took me to this reinvention stage. You know, which took me to this like religious, dark, and like I don't even know how to explain it. Which is my art nowadays.
So it was a big shift in your art. Were you really angry at the time at the idea that like, oh, I've been using this imagery my whole career, and now you're trying to take this away from me just because of some bullshit lawsuit?
Of course I got angry about that, but I got angry because my idol was fucking...
And that too, yeah.
being aggressive to me for nothing, for nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I was thinking, fuck, if I stole from him, like, I get it, but I was paying as I was able to, like, I got him a sponsor by Nike. I designed all these masks, and because I was, like, using, like, imagery of him, like, I never charged him for his masks or, like, designing, like, all the graphics for his T-shirts or, like, products for Japan and all that. Like, I never charged him. It was, like, a fair exchange to me. And plus, like, I took it, like, I don't need that money because I'm working for my biggest superhero, and, like, this is taking me somewhere else, like, career-wise and work-wise.
You were doing the right thing, so you didn't think about the legal aspect of it. Yeah. Wow, that's fucking crazy. Yeah. So when did you first start to transition into doing more clothing and stuff after all that? Or so you completely changed your style of art.
Yeah,
and then
I changed that, and that's what made me go deeper into fashion. Because as I was saying, like, I stopped doing my art, and I was trying to figure out what to do. I need money, I need this, I need that, and I was spending a lot of money on lawyers and all that. So I was like, fuck. So next thing, for this, I don't have any collaboration, anything with anyone. So for this, I'm like, fuck, what should I do? I start, like, making phone calls, blah, blah, blah. And I talked to Ross from Sir, and he's like, dude, I need help. For this, we already had our first collaboration, like, apparel-wise. The Russian thing, he's Russian, it's his heritage. He moved from Russia from, what's the name of the place he's where?
Moscow?
No, Ukraine.
Oh, okay.
From Ukraine when he was, I guess, like 7, 6, something like that, to New York. He's never been big in Russia until today, because now he has a store and blah blah. But it's he's been more into the New York, like, soft culture and all that, and he's been big over there. Like,
see, I lived in New York for a long time and I didn't know about it. I guess I'm not paying enough attention, but.
Probably, but it's
it's niche things.
Like, it's a niche, and, like, it's like a sector and all that, and he's been more into that, like, low key situation.
Right.
And Supreme is there, and Supreme has been there, and Supreme will always, like, be on top of, like, everyone.
Right. So when you start working with them, like, what direction did you go in? Was it strange for you to transition and doing, like, full clothing lines and stuff?
No, it was not. It was not hard. I already, like, understood the formulas. I was already doing, like, things and apparel and shoes and all that. So I understood, like, the formulas. So as I was saying, I started designing with Ross, and kept going, just designing here and there and getting money, blah blah blah. And then, like, between that, I worked, like, I did stuff for Futura Labs, like, bands, like, you name it. There are tons of brands. Like, you should check on the website, and all these people watching, like, they should check on the website. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah.
But then, I think, like, close to 5 years, 6 years, I come back here to LA, and Ross is living here. He's not living in New York anymore.
Okay.
And he's like, I need help with the brand to restructure the thing and all that. And that's when I deep myself, like hardcore into the apparel thing and all that. And of course, working with him and all that triggers like me working, like, with tons of brands, not only here in the US, like Japan, like Neighborhood, like Dub Tabs, like a bunch of people I've been working with. But I don't know, the transition haven't been hard. It's just fun. Sometimes, to be sincere, I get, like, a little bit, like, frustrated because it's just the same exact thing over and over.
Right.
Finally, now it's changing and it's evolving, and there's people with, like, something new to show, like our friend Shane with Midnight, like us, OSS, and like, we're trying to make that change.
So did you feel really bored with the work that you were doing for a while? Because brands, obviously in streetwear, the brands, they just want to copy each other, and they just want to,
That's been forever. Like, since early days with Stussy, with Supreme, it's just, like, grabbing imagery from here and there, and then, like, piecing contest again, as I was saying, which it's fine and all that, but, like, how can I say it? At Sir, I got really bored. The same formula over and over for God knows how many years that I spent there. And being here, working at Sir, the same exact thing over and over, it got like, holy shit, it's boring as fuck.
Right.
And that's what made me, like, leave. And
Did you leave Sir on bad terms, or was it all right?
Yeah, I left on bad terms.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that? Just you were bored, or did you just, like, not like dealing with Russ, or what was the deal?
It's just a crazy personal thing, because beyond work we had an amazing friendship and all that. Dude got weird not only with me, with the whole team.
Okay.
I don't know why he got weird. Probably it can be money, it can be smoking a lot, it can be just, I don't know, he's a retard, you know. It can be many things, you know. And yeah, I left on bad terms. Not on bad terms. Actually, I was very. I was a diplomat on that thing. He wrote crazy ass shit on an email, and I was like, okay, thank you, peace.
Right.
That's it, you know. And since then, like, I haven't seen him again, and I'm not planning on seeing him. You
Okay.
know? So
You're past
just
it.
Like, yeah, like fuck that.
Yeah.
I'm busy with other stuff. Like, thank God I'm with you guys with OSS. Like, shout out for you,
Yeah.
for Alf and for Rob here.
But what about this Black Scale collab as well? Was that soon after you left, sir?
No. Actually,
That was during it.
this is a funny story.
Okay.
I worked on this 2 years ago, actually 3 years ago with Mega, and it got pushed back due to several things and whatever, and it was not the right moment. And until actually this year, it got released January. And
Right.
that also like created a lot of hype and a lot of like
Yeah.
things.
But do you know Black Scale? You know those dudes well, and like,
Yeah.
was it a different direction that you tried to go in terms of the work on that project?
No, actually, the beauty here is that Black Scale, it's very close to my type of art and to my taste, and not only art wise, also fashion wise. Like how the direction of the brand is perfect to how I look at things, and actually also it has to do with my design, how I design like only like black things and like super dark and super.
Yeah, you've really
hardcore
stuck with this
stuff.
dark theme in your work in general. Wouldn't you say? Like, is that why do you think you gravitate towards that?
That's the craziest question. No one has asked me this before. I don't even know how to answer this.
Really?
It just happened.
Yeah.
Know? Like I don't know if it's like getting older and I don't know, like understanding more about yourself or your craft. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that it's like, you used a lot more crazy colors when you were into graffiti, whereas it tends to be more colorful, and then you kind of got older, and you sort of start to see black as being like the basis for everything? Is it something like that where you're sort of drawn to simplicity?
I don't know. Like I've always like been doing drawings like black ink and all that. To me, it's more appealing since day one.
Right.
Of course, I play with colors and all that, but like I don't know. It's just easier and it looks better and it's classier, at least for me. You know? I don't know. I don't even know how to answer these questions. These are crazy questions. I don't.
Well, hey, that's good. Hey, what year? There's a crazy video of you doing a huge mural in Mexico City with Futura. What year was that? And tell me about what that project was like.
That was 4 years ago.
So you were still living there? When did you actually move to America?
Like close to 5 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was living. No, it was 3 years ago. Actually, I was living already here. I left LA like for 5 days. Went back to Mexico. I didn't have my artist visa at that time. I was in the middle of the process of getting it. So it was funny when I came back because customs asked me, you just left like a week ago. Why are you coming back? What do you have to do here? And I'm like, I'm just buying stuff. Like, don't ask.
Yeah.
Let the droids pass. You know?
Yeah.
And okay, so this happened 3 years ago. Remember, Futura had this Hennessy release,
Yeah.
the bottle and all that shit. They did that in Mexico, like party, massive thing and all that. So Hennessy, France was paying for all this thing, like, of course, his flights, the venue, the party, the release, blah blah, and they bought this wall from this building.
Okay.
Which it's a landmark now, and it's supposedly gonna stay like there like forever.
The art on the wall is still the same as it was then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And had you ever worked on a wall like of this size? Because this is a gigantic side of a building.
Yeah, it's a 5-story building. Not that big, but like 3 stories, I've done it.
Okay.
But this is the first time like wearing a harness and like the whole thing and security on top and just it's a crazy situation.
And he's saying in the video, he's saying how it's not really a Futura piece, how he wanted to incorporate local artists and he wanted to like sort of have it be yours in a sense.
Yeah.
So what's like the conversation like when you're dealing with like a legendary artist like that and he wants it to be part you?
Okay, so this how it goes with Lenny.
Lenny, right? Yeah.
This
Which
is
be less formal.
Our third piece together, big. Like and collaborations we had like several. He's very picky with who he works with. Actually, I'm one of the lucky ones who have been able to work with him. The other ones, it's Os Gêmeos from Brazil, major, massive name. And yeah, I think I'm the luckiest one because I made 3 pieces already with him, and hopefully soon something else is gonna happen. I don't know, dude. It's just fucking crazy. It's scary at the same time. As I mentioned Kit Haring a moment ago, and I always think like, fuck. My favorite artist was one of his best friends, and then I'm working with this guy who was best friends with my favorite artist.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening?
Right.
I just questioned that to myself. I don't find an answer. I'm not trying to look for an answer, but I'm just like, fuck, like this is fucking unreal.
It's crazy how shit. Yeah, I mean, I've had that moment many times in BMX where the guys that I fucking grew up looking up to are just sitting right across from me doing interviews or doing anything, and it's weird when you get to that point because all of a sudden it's like you look up to people so much as a kid, and then all of a sudden you're one of them, and you'll always have that little feeling of inferiority or like, am I supposed to be in this position? Am I supposed to be working with these people?
Yeah, it's just crazy, and then what you ask, like, how does it feel that this guy is like making this piece about me?
Yeah, he didn't want it to be all him and just have you do a little thing.
I don't know. Of course, it's an honor, and I feel like, like it's next level shit. I don't know, dude. Like, of course, there's mutual respect. I love his art. I know he loves what I do, and that's the reason why we've been working for so long and collaborating for so long, and having like how can I say it, like beyond the good friendship we have, like how can I say it? I don't even know the word. Like it's just like a major art experience, like exchange, and I don't even know. It's just something very particular that I haven't found with another artist, even
right.
though like I know like a few.
Yeah.
Like these guys, like that guy, like to work with. It flows. It's very natural. It's organic.
When did it become an option for you to design bikes? Not our bikes, but these other bikes that you did beforehand.
When Old Boy contacted me on the email, that was crazy. This crazy Asian man, like, contacted me. He emailed me like, "Oh, let's work. I got directed by this guy, and I want to meet you. I love your work, blah, blah, blah." and I met this Asian man, and since then I started with the BMX thing. Like, I had a previous...
Oh, see, I wasn't talking about Rob. I was talking about the fixed gear, or what was the road bikes that you did first. Yeah, I just realized that you were talking about the crazy Asian guy that I know.
Okay,
like, what a coincidence. Multiple crazy Asian guys in charge here, yeah.
The fixed gear thing, that's a crazy story, and that also relates with Futura. So I think 06, 07, or 08, 07, 08, I started this fixed gear inspired brand here in LA. And I was selling everywhere, like Japan, US.
So when did you actually make the move to LA, just for the record?
Like to live here?
Yeah.
Like that's close to 5 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like 2012, 2000, something like that.
But so, were you a fixed gear fan? What was your relationship to
I was
that?
a bike messenger for a minute because I was like unemployed. I needed like some extra money, and then I've been riding bikes, and then that transitioned to motorcycles.
Right.
Afterwards, but I make this brand with this partner I used to have and all that, and yeah, we start producing here. No one was doing any type of like fixed gear inspired brand, and that's what put us on the map, like fast.
Really?
The first season, and then the first season put us on the map. Then next season, like, of course, with all these friends like that we had, like Sir Futura, this, the other. Next season, we have collaborations with Futura, with Stash, with Mad Anthony from New York, with Roba Beta. Who else was in this second season? Don't remember. Anyways, third season, Robo from Nike BRS, Sir, like just pulling like the friends to work and all that, and that's what took us like to the next level. And then doing bikes, that happened with Colnago.
Okay.
We met Antonio Colombo, the owner of Colnago, and all that. And the project like flowed by itself. It happened. He was like, "I love your shit. We love your brand. Blah blah blah. Let's make something."
Right.
And that's next thing we're doing frames with him, and next thing we're inviting Future and Stash to design a frame.
Yeah.
because as I was saying, Futura is super involved with the cycling culture. He was a messenger as well, and he still rides and all that. So my partner and I invited him and Stash, and they designed these frames, which now are cult frames.
Right.
They were mad expensive since their release. We only produce 55 of each,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, that put us on and put me on the map into the cycling culture.
When you were running your own brand, was that your first time really running your own brand, like you taking care of all the little details as opposed to just working for somebody else?
Yeah.
Do you like that? Do you consider yourself better as just an artist, or do you like the managerial side and the production and everything?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't like production.
Uh-huh.
It's boring. It's the same exact thing, and you need to check a lot of things, and I don't like tech packing. I don't like the technical side of it. I just like the create.
Right. So if it was up to you, you would just be camped out in your studio working all the time, right? Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's that. And with this brand, my partner, Neri, he was the guy like doing like the technicals and like dealing with printers and dealing with vendors. And this I was just like creating, and this is gonna happen. This is the mood. This is how it's gonna look. Let's produce it, boom, and then like money coming back. Let's produce again. Let's buy some pizzas, and that's it, you know.
Right.
So it's been like that for me more.
So you have some guys that you work with now, Arnold, and you have your own space on Fairfax or on Melrose, excuse me. And but are those the guys who are more comfortable dealing with the production and dealing with the behind the scenes stuff?
Okay, so.
And how did you transition to that? And is there an official name for your little crew there?
Actually, now we finally have a name.
Okay.
Which is Quiet Storm.
Okay.
It started as a studio.
It's a Mobb Deep reference?
Actually, no.
Okay.
Actually, it came out from comic books.
Okay.
You know, it's that geek side. The thing is that I met Arnold working at Sir. We made this amazing friendship. Besides that, he's one of the most OGs in the game.
Right.
He's known by everyone. He's worked with everyone, Diamond, Blackscale, Crooks, you name it. You know, he's been in the scene forever. He deals with production. He's a designer as well, a major designer, and his thing is like accessories. He can design anything. He's a monster. He's a fucking beast. But he deals with production. He has that head where and of course like the words to deal and like to bring money to produce whatever you think of, like he can make that happen. So it's Arnold at this studio, David, new partner, new dude with us, good friend as well. He used to work at Sir. He was the last man standing over there.
Uh-huh.
And then we have Ray, who helps us, and she's our technical, like tech packing, all that shit. And so it's like we're four people now.
So do you feel like with all you guys together, you're able to get any kind of project done for any kind of brand because you all fill in the different gaps that the other one is not good at?
Exactly.
Like Arnold's your more well thought out logical side in a way.
He is like the Jiminy Cricket. That's how Arnold works. Like, he's like the same one. And then like everyone has like its own role or character. Like in my case, like just like the guy who is drawing and throwing stupid ideas to the air and all that.
Right.
And Arnold's like, okay, this can be done. No.
Yo,
let's
Brandon,
design.
shut the fuck up. Seriously. What the fuck? And he leaves. Well, we should break for a second because I'm just about to ask for OSS, and then he runs out and starts talking in the background. Fuck.
Probably I could call him.
Yeah. Well, I guess in the meantime, I'll ask more about some other lists of people that I've seen you work with. How did you did a Misfits thing?
Oh yeah.
How did that come together?
Like crazy.
And I know you were listening to the Misfits living in Mexico City, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. And that's another crazy story because Misfits are huge over there. Because there's wrestling took me to the Misfits.
Right. There's some overlap there. Yeah.
The thing is that one major wrestler in Mexico named Vampiro Canadiense, the Canadian vampire.
The Canadian vampire is the name of a Mexican wrestler. Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
He was the drummer for the Misfits.
Oh, okay.
And he came out with his Misfits attire and like his fucking face paint and shit and all that. So met him work like doing stuff for wrestling and all that shit, and made a friendship with Ian. Blah blah blah. He's not Canadian, by the way.
Right.
The thing is, that triggered me like to make something for the Misfits because they were doing like a Latin America tour and all that. So Ian contacts me like, dude, I like your work. You've done like shit for me, like apparel-wise, like T-shirts for him, whatever. Are you interested in working something for the Misfits? I'm like, yeah, for sure. I'm so fucking down. What do you need? Like, they were like, oh, like something simple. Can you reinvent the Crimson Ghost? The logo?
Reinvent it.
Yeah, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, we want the Crimson Ghost on your style. I'm like, whoa, fuck it, yeah, of
That's
course.
that's a big undertaking, yeah.
Yeah, so made this. It was only for the Latin America tour, but nonetheless, it's a big thing, And
Right.
and from that, I also did like this print of the Crimson Ghost riding a horse and all that, which got like produced as a print for the tour. T-shirt and stickers, and the Crimson Ghost, like the classic skull.
Yeah.
That was like all the posters around like Latin America, Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, and I think Peru, something like that.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm going to transition over to Rob and ask you, Rob, when did you first become aware of Andreas and his work?
Well,
Getting a little closer.
we had a good mutual friend, Ed. And, over at OSS, we were looking for a sales rep. So I talked to Ed. I reached out to an old friend. I'd known him by probably about 5-6 years at that point, something like that. And, simultaneously, we were looking for someone that was local that we could just kind of work with very well. So Ed actually introduced me to Andreas. And then once I started looking at Andreas' portfolio, there was stuff from like the Bruce Lee Foundation, Neighborhood, Sir, Dub Taps, like all these huge brands, Nike. It became apparent that we should at least have a conversation, see if it could work. And aside from all that, you look at the fine art and like all his like style, it was in the direction that we wanted to move as a brand, go a little bit darker, a little bit deeper. He had a really good style about him. So, I just shot an email out in the dark and saw if he would reply, and I think he took a look at what we're doing, right, and kind of saw that there was some kind of like similar things going on, conceptually.
Already worked with bikes and dark, Satanists.
Yeah, black,
dark.
Black.
Hell yeah, nigga.
Seemed like a winner, So we just, there was a day where me, Adam, and Alf, we all went to go meet you and Arnold at the studio.
Yep.
And it just seemed like everything gelled really well, and you had done such great work, so we took the shot, and I think everything worked out. There were some things that we could help you with. There was things that you could definitely help us with.
Yep.
And yeah, so it just all ended up working out perfectly. I think every season we look at it just gets better and better. It just hones it on the image every season. So yeah, I think that's how it all started.
Yeah, like I could sit here all day and talk about like what OSS means to me and what the brand means and everything. But what do you, from working with us for like the past year or so, how do you view it? I got some skin in the game on this one. This is not an unbiased question.
You know what? Like at first I love the project since day one. Like I'm gonna tell you why, because it was different, and I knew that this was going to take me away from what I was doing. Even though it's the same, designing apparel and all that shit, it was going to take my mind away from where I've been for so long, like the streetwear game. Because it's a streetwear to a certain degree, but it's more active wear. Because actually people who are riding are using it's like skateboarding wear, it's active wear at the end. So I was this was the first thought. I was like, fuck, I love it. It's different. This is gonna take me somewhere else. And then in the beginning, like I saw it like first like, damn, it's all over the place. I need to fix it, which. With all the reference that Rob sent me, like videos, this is what it is. We do the come-up, we do this, blah. Then like all the riders, like Vegan, Stevie, all of them. I was like, okay, so the direction it's there. I know what to do. It needs to go mad dark. Then I met you guys and all wearing black, you with all your tats, like all that. Like okay, so it makes sense, like
B-boy stance.
All the pieces just work together.
Yeah. Like this, and not quiet. This guy, like, yeah, madam. Okay.
I'm a little tough to get through to.
Yeah. Anyways, and it was, like I was like, fuck, it's all over the place. There's no direction, And then like that was the challenge, and doing that, like, and where we are at right now as a brand, like I'm happy, and it's getting somewhere, And this is not about numbers or about money. It's not about that. It's getting somewhere image-wise, and it's getting its own final identity, you know, like in order for everyone to digest and absorb.
Right.
So now, how I look at it, like I think it's fucking strong, and if we take the right steps, it can become something like major.
Right.
Major. And then what we had with this kid, like the vegan release, the bike,
Yeah.
that triggered something else, and that opened windows with a different demographic, which is like the midnight demographic and all that. Everyone started looking this way, cause the bike collaboration, of course, like the persons around it, like you are friends with Shane and all that, same as me and all that. But we're opening that channel,
right?
So that means something.
See, that's a big thing. Like when me and Rob started working together on the brand and everything, it was all. We always said from the beginning, it's like we need to make BMX bigger, and we need to give BMX a profile in terms of being in popular culture, or at least like, you know, popular underground culture, popular fashion culture, and that kind of thing. Like we've all seen skate brands be able to make that crossover, and for us it was really important. It's like this is what I want to do with my life over the course of the next few years or whatever. Is I want to be able to make a BMX brand that could stand on its own next to all these other brands and actually get us the respect that I think we deserve, because I spent my whole life obsessed with this shit, you know. So I mean, yeah, I think we've definitely made a lot of good strides in that regard.
No, yeah, but I agree. And where it's going right now, I think we're doing the right thing.
How do you? What were your first thoughts when you figured out that you were going to get to design some BMX bikes for Brandon?
Oh, okay. First, I asked Rob, like, I need to meet the kid.
Yeah.
Like I want to see what's his thing, and like.
Because he's his very own special type of retard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very particular. It's it's very unique.
We've taken him all kinds of asylums and different hospitals, and they don't really know what to call it. Yeah.
First thing I was like, yeah, I like the kid. He's dope. He's crazy. He's dark, and his mind is fucking everywhere. He's a mess. I like that shit. And from there, like, I was like, okay, what should I do? So I planned, like, okay, I can do this, and that. When I was done, I was like, come to the studio. Let's have a look at this. All this means all this. This is what I think about vegan. So, please.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. We got to the studio and like he had probably 5 different bikes and just like different schemes laid out and shit.
He probably made them in like 3 days or something.
Yeah, exactly. But it was just crazy because I showed up and he like had like meanings behind like what every like specific one had like in correlation to like my riding and who I am as a person and shit. So it was pretty cool to see how he was able to like translate that into like a physical bike. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool to see.
It happened, like, it's been organic. Same like with OSS, it's been organic. It's like, it's done. The work's done. Boom. Oh, we love it. Boom. And it's produced. Bam.
Yeah.
Selling it.
I feel like we're all on similar brainwaves here, so it's like...
Yeah. I mean, especially just watching you two work together on the vegan apparel collection that will come out pretty soon. You know, it's very apparent that you guys understand each other in certain ways.
A little bit more.
Just very apparent that you guys understand each other in certain ways, you know. So, I mean, it's been very fun, you know, just even, I mean, it took you guys like 2 hours talking.
Yeah.
And everything
And
was
we had
just,
a
yeah,
sick
everything was
capsule
done,
done.
you know, like, yeah, sick capsule done. So
Because it's like my son, of course.
It was a big deal too to even get a different graphic designer, because we had been working with Scotty for a long time, and he's the one who made the On Some Shit box logo. Like, he basically designed it with some help from me, and he's done like so much stuff for us over the years. I don't want to like undermine his contribution. It was because that was such a big decision for us to like kind of start working with someone who's not like directly involved in BMX, and like, you know, but we wanted somebody that had more of a experience in terms of goddamn fucking people calling me. In terms of, goddamn, it's my sister calling me too. She always tries to call me during
You have a
podcasts.
sister.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. She's got 2 kids, and yeah, you don't want to go there. What the fuck? Yeah. But I was just saying, you know, yeah, with Scotty, I mean, he did like so much important stuff for us early on. So I don't want to like undermine his contribution at all, like in terms of talking about Andreas, because that was a big deal for us, because we never really made like a significant switch in terms of designers and stuff. Yeah.
And I think, you know, I mean, Scotty's, I mean, on his own, he's like amazing.
Yeah. He
He's
doesn't
done
need any
so
special
much good
props
stuff,
on his own,
yeah.
because he's already pretty successful in his own right.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I wanted to hold true to our mission statement that we wanted to push from within BMX out, you know?
Right.
And I thought I really thought Andreas had
He's a
something
good
different to
outlet
offer.
into the outside world.
Yeah, I think he really had something to offer for us, to do that.
Yeah.
And it's happening step by step. So.
Yeah.
Do you relate to like streetwear as a whole? Do you feel any kind of connection to that whole community? How do you feel when you walk down Fairfax and Melrose? Is this something you still care about?
No, and let me tell you this that happened to me this Friday. I was at the studio.
You hear that? I almost got. What's this, a pawn shop? All right, you can keep talking. That's just the local flavor. That's why this is the coolest podcast in the world.
I went to Fairfax with the boys, with Arnold and David and Ray, and there was this show at Non Gallery, a sneaker show. One of our homies was showcasing like this massive, like 3,000 shoe collection, whatever. Diamond had a party. The apartment, who knows what number, had another party. There was like 4 or 5 parties on the same exact block, and the same people were jumping from party to party. So I went there. I haven't been on Fairfax probably like in, 6 months? 6 months, right?
Yeah,
when we went to that thing?
Yeah.
Like 6 months, straight up. And I was like, oh my God, I need to go. I can't be here. It fucking sucks. It's the same people. It's the same thing I've been seeing for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
The same people are still here, drinking the same exact drink, dressed the same exact way, supporting the same exact thing. Nothing's happening here. Energy is fucking stuck. And of course, the only thing I'm seeing with changes is the kids that I saw like 5 years ago. Now they have mustaches. I'm like, okay.
And they need to spend more money on cocaine every night.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But seriously, though, I was like, oh my God, I need to go, and I left. I was like, fuck it. To the point that I left, like straight up to my house, and I stayed in. I was like, oh my God. And all night, I couldn't sleep. I was just thinking, fuck, they are fucking stuck. Crazy. I just can't. I'm not part of that culture.
Right. And I mean, you look at it, and it's like a lot of times in streetwear or whatever, and this is probably the problem, is that it feels like it's a bunch of people who are joined together by commerce rather than people who give a fuck about any sort of artistic progression or anything, any kind of change in the world. It's just a bunch of dumb fucks trying to make money, and I think that's why people are kind of grossed out by the whole vibe that streetwear itself gives off a lot of times, right?
But I think yeah, you're right. It's all about the money and all that. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of like amazing brands. Like the brands I like, they are not on Fairfax.
Right.
That's the first thing. Like the only one I respect, Supreme, of course, because what they've done throughout the years and the channels they opened. But the rest, like to be sincere, I just don't care. And to me, it's as you said, like they're just looking for the money. There's no artistry behind it.
Yeah.
There's no meaning. There's no soul. You know. But there are a few brands that have soul, like Black Scale, like I don't know, like I can tell you Fear of God, even though I don't wear it, and I don't know the owner. I respect it. It's well assembled, like Off-White, like Midnight as well.
There are still some that are coming through that you're impressed by,
Yeah, that are doing like something new, something refreshing. They do it. Of course, there's money involved because people need to eat, but they are doing it just for the craft, for the artistry, for the happiness of doing something and showing something that no one has done. It's not again like, oh, let's make a new collection of things and let's live whatever life and let's be a goon and let's do this and that. No, there's a meaning. It's not only selling a lifestyle and a fake thing.
I feel you. So is there anything that we really kind of glossed over here, important moments in your career that I'm missing that didn't make it into my notes here? I know there's a YouTube video in Spanish with XGhetto666 that has 300 views, and if I had time, I would have made somebody translate it for me because I could not understand it because it was in Spanish. You know what I'm talking about?
Which one?
There's a video of you on some like Spanish TV show when you were real young, I think, in Mexico, and it's got like 300 views, and it's just you being interviewed, but I couldn't understand it because.
Oh yeah, is it that one where I'm wearing like a pattern like hoodie, like black and white?
I think so. It's super old.
Yeah, it's super old.
Yeah,
it's super old. I don't even know what year was that, but that's super old.
Yeah,
super old.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Actually, someone like uploaded that was TV, like on TV.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I found it like a while ago, but like I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like in Mexico, you know, like that. I've been in so many like TV interviews and newspapers and magazines, just
Doing
same,
random press, yeah.
Yeah, it's just whatever. But like I don't know. It's just funny. It's just funny. Everything's on the website. Like all the magazines and all that. It's funny. It's important at the same time. That opened my doors here, like to get an artist visa and all that.
Right.
Like all these like
Press.
fame-
The press will
fame
do that, yeah.
thing and shit. But I don't know. It's just funny, and I don't know if we're missing something. Like I don't know if you want to talk like when I was fucking Madonna or like shit like
You
that.
fuck Madonna?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my god! For a second, I was like, he said it so serious. You really just got me. Wow.
I know Adam and I know that's something that was like spark his interest like a lot.
Well, you fuck Madonna. I mean, that's like real deal legend shit. Like, how the hell are you going to be like kind of a regular guy and fuck Madonna? That's like, I didn't know that was possible.
Nah, she's old now.
Man, we really got to figure out how to turn this phone off when we're doing interviews. All right. So, do you have any thanks that you want to send out?
Okay, first shout out to the Quiet Storm, to my team. Shout out to the BBS family, the Black Blood Studio, Mexico City, Danny, and then shout out to you guys. Like, thank you for having me first with the brand. Thank you, Rob, for making it happen. Thank you, dude,
Yeah.
for holding the fort. And of course, thanks to Alf. He's been like my guardian angel lately.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Shout out to
guys.
Alfredo.
And this guy like here.
Shout out
was
to you
my-
for making me cool bikes and cool
Oh,
clothes.
dude! Like, shout out to you for being my son. Come on.
Hey. And thanks,
Oh, yeah.
thanks to you, because I mean, you have helped us a shitload in terms of the brand, and like, I mean, I don't know if it's always in a weird stage when you're doing like a brand, because I want people to look at it and see what we are, but then at the same time, it's like I want them to see what it's going to look like in 6 months or a year or whatever, because I just know that it's going to keep growing and changing
It's
so
gonna
much
keep
going
growing.
forward. Because there's a million and one fucking streetwear brands, but there's not that many that actually have something behind it. And with us, it's like we have an actual fucking, if you look at our Instagram or something, it's like an army of fucking BMX kids that love us out there.
Besides being an army, it's a cultural thing. It's you are supporting something positive, which is sports.
Yeah.
Like BMX, it's such a great thing.
Because we all know the positive impact that it had on us. Like, I could look at my life and say, like, things would have gone very different if I didn't have this thing to put all my effort into.
Exactly, and personally, like at this point, like BMX saved my life again. Like the moment I started working with you guys.
It saved your life
Straight
in what
up,
way?
Yeah. Like that. I'm gonna keep it like that. Stop asking crazy ass questions, sir.
Okay. Oh, sounds good. All right. So, any more thanks? Any shout out?
Yeah, thanks to all those fuckers who hate me. I really love you, and thanks to all the people who love me. I don't love you back. And thank you guys again. Thanks to all the friends I have, the true ones. The Jameses, the Ashleys, the Elisas, all of those. Like, thank you guys. Like, and thank you guys. Such a pleasure.
For sure. And so, if people wanted to keep up with what you got going online or look at all your work, what would be the required URLs?
Okay, first Instagram, because that's a trendy thing.
That's
Snapchat as well. You can find me Golgo_DFT on both, and then the websites. The design one, it's theflow.
Flow.
DA
Dash flow, right? Yeah.
flow.com, and then blackbloodstudio.com for my fine art.
Awesome.
Like, yeah, if you can type that on the video, like that would be epic for people
sure.
to find me.
No doubt. So this has been No Jumper episode 17 or something like that. You should definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel, our SoundCloud, and our iTunes, and check out all of our interviews. We interview a shitload of interesting people in the worlds of fashion, music, and much, much more. Thank you very much to Rob and Brandon for co-hosting, and shout out to Nate Richter for filming.
And he has green hair.
And he has green hair.
Green hair.
We're going to be designing a whole new line of green hair based. It's organic. Yeah.
His Nate Richter's Go Green campaign.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.